Hey guys, it's Reese, and welcome to Not Just Coffee with Reese. I am on episode 5. I'm pretty excited about that. I have updates for you guys. But before I get into updates, today I am not doing coffee because it's called Not Just Coffee. So update today. For all you whiskey lovers, I hope you will appreciate this. I am having Macallan 12, and that is my drink of choice. So if you are watching this, grab a glass of whiskey and enjoy. Let me do my first taste test of the episode. Yep, very good. I just have it with I put like a large cube of ice in it and just did that. It's funny. So I have large cubes of ice they keep in my freezer. And then I also have alien heads. So they're large cubes of ice, but they're little alien heads too. But this time I'm just doing a boring cube of ice. No big alien head in my whiskey. So that's that. So welcome to episode 5. I definitely want to get started with talking to you a little bit about an update. As you may see, I am not wearing my headphones and I don't have my mic here in front of me, which is a little strange. I feel a little weird without that stuff right now, even though I've only done like 4 episodes with it. But I'm trying this out. So I have my wireless mic right now. And then I'm getting some of my lighting equipment coming in, but my wireless mic came in. I was like, you know what? Let me just check it out, see how it is. Because obviously I want to start having guests. Ideally, what I'd like to do is go to like their places where they are for some episodes. And then, of course, other episodes I may be traveling. So I may be in New Orleans, New York, Costa Rica, Austin, places like that. And I want to be able to have my mics and stuff set up to where I don't have all these wires or have to be in a room with like studio stuff, to where I can kind of be in their area that they work in or their atmosphere, kind of just bring a little bit more flavor to things. So that's why I am trying this out for the first time. So I hope everything sounds good and it goes well. So that's my update on equipment. As you can tell, because at the very beginning I said, welcome to Not Just Coffee with Reese. So I do not have my intro done yet, but that's coming along. And once it is done, I'm sure your ears will be loving you because it will be actually someone else singing and doing the intro. So pretty sure those are all the updates I have for you. It was so funny because I was getting ready for this podcast or this YouTube, video. And I was pouring myself some whiskey. And I was trying to think of when I first started drinking whiskey. I didn't start off drinking just straight whiskey. I don't know how you guys started out drinking whiskey or whatever your choice of drink is now. But I have certain memories of things. And I don't know if any of you guys feel that way too. Like there are certain memories, there can be like a drink, there can be a song, there can be a smell. Oh my gosh, it happens with smells too, where it takes you back. It takes you back to a certain time period in time, or not even like a time period, an exact moment. And I don't know, it can come at any moment. And that just it zaps you back into time, I feel like Back to the Future, like Marty McFly, and he goes back in time. Obviously he's going back in time and it's seeing his parents and stuff, but so I don't think that was a really good analogy or whatever to say, but it just popped into my head. You're going just back into time and you're like, oh my gosh. So I can't really remember about whiskey. I wish I did. I wish I remembered the first time I had whiskey, or actually the first time I had an old fashioned. That's how I got introduced to whiskey, was I started drinking old fashions. One more sip because this is just too good. I love whiskey, by the way. I'd actually be curious what y'all's favorite drink is. Like your favorite drink if you just want to relax, you've had a hard day and you're like, oh, and you just want to like go home, or not even go home. Sometimes it's maybe a little strange. I like don't want to sit in traffic on the way home, so I'll just go to a restaurant, go to the bar, order a drink, and just like have a nice drink and just kind of like relax and like decompress. You aren't sitting in traffic. You're able to have a drink with you and just relax and like maybe like order some food to go and then like take it back with you. But what's that go-to drink that you enjoy pouring for yourself? For me right now, it is whiskey. Whiskey, I'll like have a glass and I'll just like sit. I'll either have it neat or on the rocks. And that first sip, I'm like, oh, and I'm just able to kind of like let those shoulders and that tension go. And I'm like, okay, this is nice. I know a lot of you guys, it may be wine, it may be tequila. I don't know. I feel like tequila's like tequila, like party time, you know? It's like this little man with a sombrero comes out. This is probably so totally like not, you know, politically correct at all. They're like, oh my gosh, she's talking about a little man with a like sombrero. But it's like tequila, you know, like they're out to party. But what I really am interested, if at all, you could humor me and just like in the comments below, just tell me what your choice of drink is. That's so crazy. Like just asking that right now, I got kind of hot because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm asking like people who watch this to say their drink of choice. Like, oh my gosh, no one's going to do that. But it's okay if no one does it because you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to like my own thing. You know, I remember when like Facebook came out and stuff and they always said in the memes like, oh, liking your own comment or liking your own photos, like high-fiving yourself in public. Well, screw it. I'm going to high-five myself in public. And when I post this on YouTube, which will be tomorrow morning, this will post, which will be right now that you guys are watching it. You go down to those comments and you're going to see my comment of my drink of choice, and it's going to be whiskey. So there we go. But going back to like different smells or things like that, one that I have a very vivid memory of. For me, it's so strange. It's not whiskey. For me, it is Long Island iced teas. And it takes me back to my first few years in college. I went to Incarnate Word University. Whoop whoop, Cardinals! Oh, we're so fierce. We actually used to be, I think, like the Crusaders, but then that was politically incorrect, so we became the Cardinals. Oh, we're gonna chirp and fly you away. We're so, I don't know, fear us. You know, we're birds. We have beaks. But off the subject. Anyway, so I went to Incarnate Word, and I remember, I think it was Wednesday nights or Thursday nights, and we'd all go to Cowboys Dance Hall, and that's where I learned how to two-step. So we'd go there, and I would get a Long Island iced tea, and they would like sell them in these pitchers. I was like, okay. So that's what I would get because I really didn't know anything about alcohol. I didn't drink beer, didn't like beer. So I would go and get Long Island iced teas. And to this day, I haven't had a Long Island forever. I'm kind of curious to see like what I would think of it now. So this week I'll probably have to go out and get a Long Island, just see how it tastes. You know, all those things, all those memories you have. But that was for me, Long Island iced teas, while I was at Cowboys Dance Hall learning how to two-step. Another memory I have, I don't know if you guys have one about food. For me, my food was Little Caesars. I loved Little Caesars when I was little. For me, my school, they would do Little Caesars and bring in Little Caesars. And then, of course, during college, it was like Taco Cabana, Little Caesars, and tuna and ramen. I would like always eat those constantly. And of course, I lived on campus, so also cafeteria food. But late at night, it was like Taco Cabana. During the weekends, it was like Little Caesars Hot and Ready's. Oh my gosh. It was like, I don't know about y'all, but I had awful eating habits. Like thinking about it now, Little Caesars, ramen noodle, tuna, Taco Cabana. But those all like flood back to me, like Little Caesars elementary school. And I loved it. We would have to bring, I think it was like $2 or $2.50 that our parents would have to give us, and we'd bring it in cash or a check, and we could have Little Caesars that day. And those memories were awesome. And today I will go to Little Caesars sometimes because I'll get the craving, and it just doesn't taste the same. You know, like your memory, I don't know if you guys have stuff like that. Your memory, you have such a beautiful memory of things, and then if you go back and revisit it or relive it, it's like, oh my gosh, was this like a lot cooler when I was younger? Was this a better memory? Did my mind like play tricks on me, and my mind was just, I don't know, was it the feeling of the place that made it better than actually like the place itself? Another place for me, I don't know any of y'all who are from San Antonio, the Magic Time Machine. When I was little, I loved the Magic Time Machine. From last episode, I was drinking out of a Disney cup chip, you know, from Beauty and the Beast. So y'all already know I have an obsession and I love Disney. But I'd go to the Magic Time Machine when I was little. My parents would take me. I just loved it. It was like so awesome. You had Snow White sitting you down. You had the Ninja Turtles as your servers. There was like all this magic going on. So, fast forward, I grow up. I went back to the Magic Time Machine to revisit it because you sometimes you have those fond memories. Not so fond. I like saw all the like nooks and crannies. I saw all the like cracks. All the cracks in the foundation that you never saw before, and you're like, these are people just in costumes. You see their zipper, you see that maybe their Snow White costume is a little tattered, or you see the hair poking out of the Cinderella wig, and you're just like, oh man. Yeah. So I don't know if it's that, like, when we're a kid, we just have this imagination that follows us with us and we make this world so amazing, or if it's just that we want to believe, or if maybe it is that things deteriorate over time, which obviously they do. But, I feel like Disneyland and Disney World haven't like deteriorated over time. But I don't know, some of those memories, if you were to go back and try and relive some of them, of course, like not with the person or anything, but try, like, go back and maybe have like that drink at that one hangout, or that one bar that you used to go to a long time ago, or that one like restaurant when you were a child, or something like that. Like, would it be the same? Would you see it different because you're older now? And then like looking back on those memories, would those memories be the same, or would you have a different interpretation of that time? So would you have like the interpretation of that time when you were like 5 or 10 compared to like having that memory now at your age? I don't know, that just like popped into my head. So totally went off on, a different subject. I guess they're not really subject, but just like interpretation of that memory and how you feel a little different each time. But yeah, so for me, it's Long Island, or a song too. Oh my gosh, for me, a song. So for me, Train, when I was learning how to drive, I had Train. doing their, oh gosh, I forget the song, but it was Train. And I remember my best friend at the time while I was driving, he was gay, right? And everyone thought he was my boyfriend in high school. So I didn't get any dates, but that's okay because I was such an awkward kid. So he was my boyfriend all throughout high school. I finally learned how to drive, and I was so excited that I was able to actually drive somewhere without my parents or anything in the car. My first time I drove wasn't to a party or anything. Like, I was such a nerd. It was going over to my friend's house. I was so nervous. I was like clutching the steering wheel. Like, my knuckles were like white. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. Because this is my first time driving at night. I should be specific. First time driving at night. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I remember I was able to drive and I was going through. So at the time, the area that I lived in wasn't really well developed. That makes me sound like I was like in some country town or something. I wasn't. So at the time I was in San Antonio, and we have a highway called 281. And 281 on the north side of town wasn't really developed that well like it is now. Now it's crazy. Like, there's still lighting, but not as much lighting back then as there is now. And I was going into this one subdivision called like Encino Park and stuff. And it was all very like underlit, but it still had street lights to where you could see well enough. And I remember I was like driving. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I had like Train on and everything. And all of a sudden behind me were lights, like police cop lights. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it can't be for me. So I kept driving. And then finally I was like, Larissa, there's no one else on this road. It's just you. So I pull over. I'm going to take one more sip real quick because this stuff is so good. I love whiskey. Do not drink and drive, which I would never do. Like, I wasn't drinking and driving. I was like 16 when I was doing this. Not drinking when I was driving. So I was going down Encino, and like I said, I get pulled over and the cop comes. So I roll down my window. I was in my mom's maroon Camry at the time. She had a Camry, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, hi, sir. And he was like, excuse me, where are you going? And I was like, well, I'm going to go visit my friend. I'm on my way to his house. And he's like, okay. I don't even think he asked me for my ID. I mean, come on. He saw me. I'm sure my hands were like still on the wheels. And I was like, on the wheel, sorry. My car did not have 2 wheels or 3. It was just 1 wheel. My hands were still on the wheel. And I was like, my friend Jason, I think I even like told him the name. I was like, why are you telling him this information? I don't know. It's like, shut up. It's like, okay, hold on. We can't be talking to each other because then he's going to think you're crazy. There's only one person in the car. So I was like, yeah, I'm going over. He's like, okay, well, is there a reason why your lights aren't on? I was like, I look at him straight face. I go, my lights are on. He goes, no. He goes, you see that? I was like, yeah, my lights are on. He goes, no, those are just like your car lights. He goes, turn it one more time. I turned it one more time, and my actual like, lights came on. And I was like, oh, it was like so much brighter. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. He's like, all right, well, you drive safe. Have a good night. I was like, thank you. And that was my first time driving at night and driving to my friend's house. And it was nice. I was scared, nervous, but for me, it was Train. And I think of that memory. So just curious if maybe that kind of gets y'all like thinking like, oh, well, this happened with me and this happened with me. Because it's so crazy how like our mind works, how a sound or a drink or a scent, oh my gosh, there are some scents that I'll smell. Oh, and it like takes me right back to that exact moment. You know, you can just like smell it and breathe it in and you're like, and just like close your eyes, and like that whole vivid memory comes back. Even like the way you feel, or the way like you felt, like you can like maybe even feel the sun on your skin if it was a moment like that. But memory, I think, is just so cool. So that kind of like crossed my mind recently. And then I will say this, because I have to give y'all a work update. I know in one of my episodes I was talking to you about how I have to work in an elevator, or not work in an elevator, but where I work, I have to go up in an elevator. And like, it got me thinking about work protocol. Well, every time, the building that I'm in, there's a bank at the bottom. And I've been watching them forever. I will say I'm very envious of what they have. So give you some personal information about me. I have two parents. Obviously, I have two parents, but both of my parents are still together and they're married. My dad's really great. My mom's really great. And they are the reason I believe in love. They've been married for 40 years. And yeah, they've been awesome. So whenever I look at how my dad treats my mom and how, my mom is and stuff, I'm like, you know what? I want that. I'm not going to settle for anything less. And there's this couple at my work. So this lady, gosh, she must be in her 60s or 70s. She works at the bank. She's a little teller. Adorable. She has like this short little curly gray hair, right? Gray white hair. And I always see her in the morning there. But if I leave at 5 o'clock, sometimes I don't leave at 5 o'clock. I stay later and stuff. But if it's a day where I'm leaving towards like 5 o'clock, close to 5, I come downstairs and we have like a little lobby waiting area. There's this little man, the same age, 60s to 70s. They may be older. They may be in their late 70s. So cute. He's just sitting there. He has on his little, like, those little old man trousers. They're like the polyester with the crease in the center. And he has his belt and he has his button-up shirt. And he's there sitting in a chair. And then she'll slowly come out. She comes out from the back entrance that we have. And because the front entrance is all closed. So she'll come out through the back entrance and into the lobby area. And she just like struts her little way over there, or waddles or whatever. And he greets her and he slowly gets up from his chair. And he'll always grab her purse. And he'll grab her lunchbox. And they do a little chat. And we have our security guard who's there, right? So the security guard would be like, okay, well, y'all have a good day and stuff. And he's always there. I guess he takes her to work and he picks her up, right? But it is the sweetest thing ever. Like when I see them and when I come out of the elevator, and a lot of times when I'm coming out of the elevator, I'll catch him like getting her bag, or like getting up from his chair in the lobby to like hug her. And I'm just like, I know nothing about their story, but you just look at them and there are people like that and you're like, that's what love's about. And that's why people believe in love. And I don't even think that little couple knows it. But like, they probably give other people hope. A hope that they can find that kind of love one day, to where you're 70 or 70 plus and your husband or your wife is sitting there in that lobby waiting to pick you up, and you can just tell in each other's eyes, like they are each other's world and they love each other so much. And it's like, we're ride or die. That was just, it's really cool to see them. That's probably completely like nerdy, or you're just like, whatever. But do you guys run into that like at your work, or if you've gone like to a park or to a coffee shop or anywhere, where you see that? I just think It's magical. It's magical and sweet to see that stuff in the world. Same thing when like you're going through a coffee shop or something and someone pays for the person's coffee behind them. I know a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that was like such an old trend. But I still do that. I will still pay for the person behind me because the act of you getting a free coffee puts a smile on your freaking face. I know that because when I go for my coffee and someone has already paid for my coffee, whether I'm having a bad day or a good day, when I hear, oh, someone's already paid for your coffee, I am to the moon excited. It's like, whoa, this is awesome. I feel like I won the lotto, you know. I didn't because I'm still going to work. But it just like feels great. So it's just those good things that, those little sparkles that come into your life that make you know, like, or give you hope. Like, there's still all this amazing stuff out there. So that little couple, they don't know me. I'm a little creeper who checks in on them. Not like checks in on them, but, you know, who will see them every now and then. And when I see them, I just do this little smile. It's not just like a smile, because I probably don't even smile, but like inside I smile. And I think my eyes twinkle a little bit, like, yep, that's them. So anyways, I thought that was really cool. So to get a little personal with y'all, I always want to stay real and true. I'll be honest, I wasn't like 100% up to doing this episode today. I was like, no, I'll wait. I'll do it another day because I wasn't feeling as like hyped and like, yeah, I'm gonna do an episode and all excited and happy. It's just like I felt kind of like, okay. And normally I don't feel that way. Normally I'm a lot more like energetic or happy. But I am currently, ever since I was young, I have been going to therapy. My dad got me into, you know, talking to a counselor about your feelings and kind of understanding them and helping you grow and be a healthy person. So for that, I will say cheers. Thank you to my dad. He helped me normalize it. So before it was even cool to like, you know, have the slogan of it's okay to not be okay, I grew up with that. I think a large part of it is because my dad's a psychologist, or he was. He's retired now. Hold on, one more drink. Right when I say that, he's a psychologist. One more drink. So I think he really helped me out with normalizing. It's okay to get, you know, help. It's okay to talk to people. And now I've grown up to where reaching out for help, reaching out to talking to like a counselor, or a psychologist, or a psychiatrist, or anything like that, it's healthy. It shows strength. And I know a lot of people maybe in the past have felt like, oh, it doesn't show strength, it shows weakness, or you don't talk about your feelings. Because a large part how like my mom grew up was like, oh, you know, you keep things very private. You don't talk about your feelings. It's just about you. And so I think me growing up, I've learned more like, it's a little scary because I have, you know, conflicting views of like, oh, like talk about your feelings and who you are. And then the other ones is like, no, you're supposed to stay very private. So I've grown throughout my years to where I've gotten comfortable with talking about my feelings. And then hopefully through talking about my feelings and my experiences, like going to a counselor and a therapist, that will hopefully give someone else courage to know it's okay to reach out and talk to someone, because all that's going to do is make you a healthier, more amazing person. You are amazing already, but if you feel like you need to reach out and talk to someone, then you'll just be even a more amazing person. You'll be like, you know, an iPhone when they put out a new version. You're like just upgrading yourself. Therapy. This is not therapy. But I was, you know, going to my therapist. And so she is doing EMDR sessions with me. So what those are is it is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So it kind of works with and I'm not a counselor or a therapist or anything like that. So someone who gets on here is like, that's not really what it is. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Sorry. Like, if you're going to be the, nah, that's not what it is. This is a technical term. Go do that somewhere else. Or, you know, say that to yourself out loud somewhere. Because, like, I don't care. Like, I'm going through it. I know it is. I'm telling you the name of it. So that way, if you're curious, you can go and look it up and learn more about it. But EMDR, it kind of deals with your eye movement and processing your memories and like understanding things and being able to kind of just like deal with them in a better way. So I just finished doing that today, and sometimes it's like, oof, like that's kind of heavy. And so that's what my brain was going through. And I was like, oh, I feel a little like drained. But I was like, you know what? I always want to be like real on here, and I don't want things to be fake or made up or anything like that. Same thing with what I drink. I'm never going to be like, oh, this is coffee or this is water or this is this, and it's not. Like, what I drink is what I'm going to tell you I'm drinking. What goes on in my life, what goes on in my head, like I'm going to share that with you. Some of it's going to be awesome, some of it's going to suck, but I don't know. I just feel it really important to always be like genuine and true about things, especially if you're giving me the time to sit here and watch this. I want us to, I don't know, have a genuine like realness. I feel a lot of things nowadays aren't real or genuine. You know, everything is a made or a set or a certain way that people want to be perceived. And I think I've let y'all all know pretty much, like, this girl does not have it all together. This is my path to figuring things out. And I hope we figure things out together. So that's what Not Just Coffee is about. It's not just coffee. Sometimes it's whiskey. Sometimes it's the good times. Sometimes it's the bad times. And it's learning about people's passions and people's loves and just getting to know each other. So that's why I was a little hesitant on doing this episode. But I was like, you know what? No, screw it. Episode 5 it is. Anyways, last thing I will end this episode with. When I was leaving my therapy session, I was driving back home. I saw Taco Bell. I know that's so random, but I saw Taco Bell, and I've never seen this part before. Probably y'all are going to be like, oh my gosh, of course they have this. But I did not know. I was clueless. Probably the last person on this earth to like find this out. But I did not know that Taco Bell did breakfast. Ooh, my mind was blown. Because I was driving past on the highway going home, and I saw the sign that said Taco Bell, and then underneath it said breakfast. Oh my gosh, people. When did this happen? First of all, I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, you need to run and get breakfast from Taco Bell. But who gets Taco Bell for breakfast? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's good. I'm from San Antonio, and I love Bill Miller's tacos. Bill Miller's they call themselves barbecue, I think. They aren't barbecue. They're like fast food barbecue, I guess you can say. But Bill Miller's has amazing breakfast tacos. Also, Dickey's Barbecue. Whoa! Best breakfast tacos. We do not have a Dickey's in San Antonio. So I always fly to Dallas. No joke. Oh gosh. I like cringe just telling you guys this. I always fly to Dallas, their Love airport, because they have a Dickey's inside that airport. And so I always try and make that like one of my connecting flights instead of Houston. So I'm actually doing that in October. I got one of my connecting flights to Dallas Love so I could get Dickies breakfast tacos. Oh, so good. But I didn't know Taco Bell had breakfast tacos or breakfast. They don't say breakfast tacos. It just says Taco Bell and it says breakfast underneath. So I'm probably gonna like go through and see what their breakfast menu is. Have y'all ever even had Taco Bell breakfast? I'm a little scared to. I mean, I've had Taco Bell like a few times here or there, like non-breakfast, because Taco Bell does serve at like 1 in the morning. And that's when I've had Taco Bell. So that's all I'll say about Taco Bell. But I'm very curious. So if you've also had Taco Bell breakfast, please, in comments, let me know, because I'm very curious to how Taco Bell breakfast is, if it's something I'm missing out on, if I need to like get into this. So 2 things I'd love to see in comments, because I love you beautiful humans. You are amazing, and thank you so much for watching me. I really, really, really do appreciate it. 1, what is your favorite drink of choice? I'd love to know that. And 2, have you ever tried Taco Bell breakfast? Not Taco Bell, because we've all had that. But have you ever tried Taco Bell? Maybe it gives you hell and you have to be at the restroom. But have you ever tried Taco Bell breakfast? All right, guys. Well, I loved sharing. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic. I need to get used to that mic thing. I loved sharing my thoughts with you, my random thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me. Until next time, till episode 6. Cheers, guys. It's not just coffee with Reese.